I never thought I'd talk about this again. Honestly, I've tried to bury it, to convince myself it was just a bad dream or a trick of the mind. But every time I hear an elevator ding anywhere, any time my stomach turns to ice, and I'm right back in that damn building. It's been years. But the sound still makes my hands shake. I'm telling you this now because, well, maybe getting it out will help me sleep again. Maybe it'll stop the nightmares. Or maybe I just need someone else to know what happened, so I don't feel so alone with it. It started 3 years ago, when I took a job as a night security guard at a 17-story office tower downtown. The place was called the Meridian Building Old, maybe from the 70s, with this faded corporate charm that felt like it was clinging to better days. During the day, it was busy enough, suits rushing in and out, coffee cups everywhere, the hum of printers and phones. But after 10 p.m., when the last stragglers left, it was like the building died. The lights dimmed, the halls went silent, and it was just me, alone, from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. The job was simple. Monitor the cameras, walk the floors every couple of hours, make sure no one broke in, and log anything unusual. I had a little control room on the first floor, more like a glorified closet with a desk, a creaky chair, and a bank of monitors showing grainy feeds from the hallways, and the single working elevator. The building had 2 elevators, but one had been out of service for years, stuck on the ground floor with a faded, out of order, sign taped to the doors. The working elevator was my only company most nights, humming and clunking through the walls as it moved between floors. The Meridian wasn't exactly welcoming. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, even when they were supposed to be off. And the air always felt too cold, like the AC never shut down. The upper floors were the worst half of them were vacant, with locked offices and dusty windows. Sometimes I'd notice weird power flickers, especially around 2 or 3 a.m. Lights would dim for a second, or a camera feed would cut to static, then snap back like nothing happened. I mentioned it to my supervisor once, a bored guy named Carl who'd been there forever. He just shrugged and said, "Old building, old wiring. Don't sweat it." So I didn't. At least, not at first. My first couple of shifts were uneventful. Boring even. I'd sit in the control room, scroll through my phone, and listen to the hum of the building. The silence was heavy, but I got used to it. I'd do my rounds, flashlight in hand, walking the empty halls. The elevator would sometimes move on its own maintenance cycles, I figured, or someone forgetting to lock it out after hours. Nothing to worry about. Then, on my third shift, it happened. It was 2:37 a.m., and I was half asleep in the control room, sipping cold coffee. Out of nowhere, the elevator dinged. Loud, sharp, like a bell cutting through the silence. I sat up, heart jumping a little. No one should have been in the building. I checked the monitors. The camera inside the elevator showed it was empty, but the panel said it was coming down from floor 9. I waited, staring at the feed as the doors slid open on the first floor. Nothing. Just an empty metal box, the overhead light flickering slightly. I grabbed my flashlight and walked out to check. The elevator sat there, doors open, completely still. No one inside, no one in the lobby. I even poked my head in and looked up at the ceiling panel, nothing. I hit the close button, and the doors slid shut with a groan. Probably just a glitch, I told myself. Old buildings, right? I logged it in the shift report. Elevator activated at 2:37 a.m. No occupants. Didn't think much of it. The next night, it happened again. Same time, 2:37 a.m. That ding echoed through the lobby like a gunshot. I checked the monitor's empty elevator, coming down from floor 9 again. This time, when the doors opened, they stayed open. For 2 full minutes. I stood there, staring into the empty elevator, waiting for something. Anything. The doors finally closed. and the elevator shot back up to floor 9 without me touching a thing. I checked the call log on the panel. Nobody had pressed a button. I logged it again, but I didn't tell Carl. I didn't want him thinking I was paranoid or jumping at shadows. Over the next few weeks, the elevator got weirder. It stopped sticking to 2:37 a.m. Sometimes it'd ding at 1 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m. Always coming from floor 9 or some other random floor. A couple of times, it opened to floors where the lights were completely off pitch black. Even though the building's power was fine, I'd shine my flashlight down the hall and see nothing but empty cubicles and locked doors. Once, I heard something through the elevator shaft, a faint echo, like footsteps, but too uneven, too slow. I told myself it was pipes or the building settling. Old buildings make noises, right? The security footage was no help. I tried pulling up recordings from nights when the elevator acted up, but the files were either blank or glitched out, just static and warped frames. I started keeping my phone on me, recording audio whenever the elevator dinged, just in case. I don't know what I expected to catch, but it made me feel like I had some control. Then came the night that changed everything. It was around 3 a.m., and I was doing my rounds on the 5th floor. The elevator dinged behind me, and I turned just as the doors slid open. For a split second, in the reflection of the polished steel doors, I saw something, a tall, unmoving silhouette, standing just behind me. I spun around, flashlight shaking in my hand, but there was nothing there. Just the empty hallway, the buzz of the lights, and my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I checked the elevator. Empty. I checked the cameras. Nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been there, watching me. After that, I started dreading my shifts. I stopped taking breaks near the elevator. I kept my flashlight on me at all times, even in the control room. I'd sit there, staring at the monitors, waiting for that damn ding. Every night, I'd pray it wouldn't come. But it always did. I couldn't ignore it anymore. The elevator was trying to tell me something, or something was using it. I decided to check out floor 9, the one it kept coming from. I'd never spent much time up there. It was one of the vacant floors, just a maze of empty offices and locked doors. The air up there was stale, like no one had opened a window in years. The lights worked, but they were dim, casting long shadows across the carpet. At the end of the hall, I found a door that stood out. It was heavier than the others, with a rusted padlock holding it shut. A faded sign read, "Maintenance only." I don't know why, but I had to know what was inside. I grabbed a crowbar from the janitor's closet and pried the lock off. The door creaked open just enough for me to squeeze through. Inside was an old elevator control room, abandoned and covered in dust. The walls were lined with outdated panels, switches and gauges. Some of them cracked or rusted over. But what caught my eye was a corkboard on the far wall, pinned with yellowed photographs and incident reports. I stepped closer, my flashlight shaking. The photos showed the building from decades ago, workers in hard hats, the elevator being installed. But one photo stopped me cold, a grainy image of a man in a maintenance uniform, standing inside the elevator shaft, smiling at the camera. His face was half hidden in shadow, but something about his eyes felt wrong. I flipped through the incident reports. Most were mundane power outages, stuck doors, but one dated 12 years ago made my blood run cold. It described a maintenance worker who'd been crushed in the elevator shaft during a night shift. He'd been trying to fix a jammed mechanism when the system reset on its own, dropping the car and pinning him against the wall. He'd pressed the emergency stop, but it didn't work. They didn't find his body for 3 days. The report didn't name him. But I knew it was the man in the photo. I could feel it. No one was ever blamed. The company called it a tragic accident, and the building kept running. But there were rumors among the older staff, whispers about the elevator being cursed. I shoved the papers back and got out of there, my heart pounding. I didn't lock the door behind me. I started avoiding floor 9 after that, but the elevator didn't let me forget. A few nights later, it dinged at 3:33 a.m., not 2:37 like before. I was in the control room, and the sound hit me like a punch. I checked the monitors. The elevator was coming down from floor 9 again. When the doors opened, I heard something, a whisper, faint but clear, coming from the shaft. It wasn't an accident. I froze. My phone was recording, but I didn't dare move. The whisper came again, louder, like it was right behind the elevator walls. It wasn't an accident. I grabbed the emergency tools from the control room and jammed the elevator's manual lock, forcing the doors to stay shut. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the key in. Then the lights flickered, the elevator groaned, and the doors slid open anyway, like the lock didn't matter. I stumbled back, my flashlight beam darting across the empty car. The air felt heavy, like something was pressing down on me. Then the entire building went dark, not just the control room, but every light, every monitor, everything. The silence was deafening. I ran. I grabbed my tablet and bolted for the lobby, my footsteps echoing in the dark. Behind me, I heard the elevator ding again, then again, and again, on every floor, like it was following me. I glanced at my tablet, still connected to the security feed. The camera inside the elevator showed something moving in the shaft, not a person, but a shape, disfigured and charred, crawling up the cables like an insect. I made it to the lobby and dove into the janitor's closet, locking the door behind me. My tablet was my only light, the security feed still running. The thing in the shaft was moving faster now, floor by floor, getting closer. I could hear the elevator dinging, louder each time, like it was taunting me. I fumbled for my phone and called 911. But the line was nothing but static. Through the crackle, a voice came through, not the operator, but something else. "You saw too much." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it'd burst. The dings were getting closer, 12th floor, 11th, 10th. I clutched the tablet, watching that thing crawl toward my floor. It wasn't human. Its limbs bent wrong. Its head twisted at an angle that made my stomach churn. I didn't know what it wanted, but I knew it was coming for me. Then, just as the elevator hit the first floor and dinged one last time, the lights snapped back on. The building hummed to life, the monitors flickering back to normal. The elevator sat there, doors closed, like nothing had happened. I stayed in the closet for another hour, too scared to move, until I heard sirens outside. The cops had arrived. They searched the building top to bottom. Nothing. No signs of a break-in. No glitches on the cameras. No trace of anything wrong. They looked at me like I was crazy when I tried to explain. I didn't even mention the thing in the shaft. They wouldn't have believed me. I quit the next day. Told Carl I couldn't handle the hours. Made up some excuse about family. He didn't ask questions, just handed me my last paycheck and wished me luck. I thought that was it. I thought I could leave it behind. A few weeks later, I got a call from another night guard, some new guy who'd taken my shift. He sounded nervous, his voice low. "Hey, has the elevator ever come down by itself at night?" I tried to warn him, told him to get out, to quit before it got worse. He laughed it off, said I was probably just messing with him. I haven't heard from him since. I moved across town, got a new job, tried to forget. But last night, as I was locking up my apartment, I heard it. A ding, sharp and clear, right outside my door. I live on the 3rd floor of a walk up. There's no elevator in my building. I stood there, hand on the knob, my heart pounding. I don't know how long I waited before I opened the door. When I did, the hallway was empty. But I know what I heard. and I know it's not over.